to Toast and Jams, Alison LLoyd.
Thank you.
Creator of Ally Capellino.
Yeah.
Would you describe it as a fashion brand or a accessories brand? How would you describe it these days?
Oh,
It's had many iterations.
I guess it's an accessory brand.
Yeah. But it started off 1980? Is that
Started
right?
in 1980 as some window dressing.
Wow. So tell us about that. How did that come about?
Me and my ex both got jobs with Courtauld Central Design, which was a supplier to Marks and Spencer's.
Wow.
Straight out of college. I hated it.
Mm.
And
What did you not like about the work?
the work was not too bad. The system was hideous. It was sort of one of those places where the longer you'd been there, the more you could shit on somebody else, sort of thing.
Oh, okay, right.
And
top-down shitting.
yeah, it just was a poisonous system, I think.
Yeah.
However, so my designs never made it to Marks and Spencer's,
Right.
because
Yeah.
I was low down in the pecking order.
Mm.
Although they were requested by some of the buyers for themselves for their Christmas presents, which there was an awful lot of gifting and schmoozing and going up to Baker Street. And so I started making bits of jewellery and paper hats at home and selling them. So that at that time there was quite a sort of a revival. I don't know if you call it a revival, but a trend for sort of plastic primary colours, sort of, I don't know, toy-like jewellery and stuff. And there's a shop called Detail in Covent Garden which sold them. So I sort of started selling these things. And then somebody wanted some hats for a fashion show, and I made them out of paper, like sort of little coolie hats.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody else wanted some for a window dressing. And that's how the name came about, because we thought it meant a little hat, Capellino. But
yeah, roughly translated, right, in Italian.
Roughly translated, we spelt it wrong.
Oh, okay.
So it means something like a thin little hair, or a child's hair.
A cute mistake, though.
It should have two P's.
Okay, right,
yeah.
right. It still works, I think,
It
especially
works
in the English
UK.
market. Yeah.
In Italians, it's like Capellino.
Yeah, right, right.
Which sounds the same to us, but to them it sounds, one P or two P's is
a big difference in Italian. Yeah. So the drink choice you have chosen today, we like our guests to choose a drink, and you said if it's a celebration, you would choose a whiskey sour, which I guess every day is a celebration, right?
Every day is yeah.
So we have a whiskey sour today, made by our lovely Campbell. Thank you, Campbell. I've got a few whiskey sour facts for you.
Yeah.
It actually was born, it has nautical origins. So sailors on British Navy ships would mix citrus fruits with lemons and limes. With originally rum and sugar to prevent scurvy, and also to make rum a bit more palatable.
I read the other day that Limehouse,
one
of the possible names for it, reasons for the name, was because limeys who had been on ships, and they were called limeys because they took lime juice on the trips.
Right, yeah.
For scurvy.
Yeah. Scurvy sounds like a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Something you don't want to get.
No.
So it was originally rum, but then whiskey became the primary spirit because it became more accessible and more popular.
And how did the eggs get in it?
Egg white was added to balance out the flavours and create a richer, smoother texture. I think that's when it kind of became more of a commercial
cocktail
thing in a bar. I think in the late 1800s
with the actions.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'll try it.
So it first appeared in a bartender's guide in 1862. And then in 1870 in New York, they added red wine, which is a bit, I don't know about that.
But this has got something pink in it.
This has got
bitters,
sugar syrup, bourbon and lemon juice. I think that's it, and the egg whites. So cheers. So we like to toast. Cheers. Thank you for coming on. Not bad.
What time is it? 10:36.
It's currently 10:30, and that's
just the thing for this.
Just the thing after a coffee, yeah. To get the conversational gears rolling. We also like to ask our guests to choose a song that was kind of influential in their kind of coming up through the ages, like teenage periods or times of inferential creativity in their life. So we always kind of try to stick with teenage years. But the song you chose was Roxy Music Ladytron.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why you chose that, a bit about why you chose that song?
Because I can remember it being on the old grey whistle test and just being sort of so excited by the whole sort of, I don't know how to describe it actually, just super exciting to see something that wordy and noisy and I don't know, it just seems to have everything, sort of, and the clothing was outrageous.
Yeah.
They're sort of mean looking, I suppose.
When did it come out? I don't actually have that
72, I think.
72, yeah. Clothing was pretty good in 72.
Oh, it was.
It's
the best time.
Yeah, right.
72 and 73, yeah. I think...
what was happening for you in your life around that time?
I was doing
early 70s.
A-levels, probably.
Yeah. What would you say was your favourite piece of clothing back then?
I used to make quite a lot.
Did you?
I used to get up early and sort of put fabric on the floor and cut it out and
even whilst doing A-levels.
Yeah, I've got a rough book at home that has my timetables and and requests from people at school for trousers and.
That's amazing. So you were pretty active.
I was entrepreneurial.
And even at school.
Yeah.
So you started. When did you kind of start this hobby, I guess?
I think when I went to senior school, the first Christmas party thing, I bought a half-made dress or something that was cut out, ready to sew from some magazine or something.
Wow! So it was like a kind of a semi-DIY.
It was a turquoise corduroy shirtwaist dress. And this is going back quite a bit because I also invested in the latest thing, which was tights, because before that it was still stockings.
Oh, right, of course.
So that's kind of when tights came about then.
Yeah. Okay. And what was it that excited you about the making and the designing at that age?
I suppose it gave me some control over what I produced. And it was a learning curve. I mean, I started getting patterns, dress patterns and sticking them on top of each other and sort of changing them around and whatnot. Right from the start.
Yeah. And what were the designers and makers at that time that you were looking up to?
Catherine Hamnett.
Yeah.
Kenzo. Some who are completely disappeared now. Somebody called Rance-Andre V. I mean, there were sort of the big ones, I suppose. Saint Laurent probably was big in the 70s. Yeah, those.
And what was the transition like for moving into the world of bags and accessories? It was
a mistake.
Mistake?
Well, I don't know if it's a mistake, but it wasn't...
a happy mistake?
Yeah, it wasn't... It just sort of... the clothing thing finished because we split up and sort of tore the business apart, really. And then I didn't have anything to do. I was bored. I had an amazing contract with British Home Stores to do men's, women's and clothing, men's, women's, children's clothing, which then what's his name, Philip Green, then bought the company and said, well, we don't need designers. So I had the money from it, but nothing to do. So I was sort of hanging out of my window thinking, how can I fill my time? And I just had some leather and I made some bags and didn't have the right equipment really to do it, but sort of they turned out okay. And they were a bit different because they were informed by clothing techniques, I suppose.
Yeah. So you're
softer.
the angle you're approaching it.
Yeah, they
different.
were sort of softer looking because at that time I think most bags were sort of glued together and much more rigid.
Cool. So a happy mistake, or from boredom, which quite often the best things come from. How do you define your creative style, and how has it evolved since the 80s, I guess, over those years?
I think it's always functional. Like with clothing, it would have to have pockets.
Yeah.
And pretty much the same with bags. I think always try them on. But we've come to be very much backpack based.
Right.
That's what people want from us the most. So that's sort of a certain amount of comfort. It's what you need in it, laptop sections and everything, and then materials that have a sort of intrinsic value or quality or aren't pretending to be something else.
And how do you think that's evolved, or is it always kind of remained the kind of backbone of
I think
the
that's
design ethos?
pretty steady. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've stuck to your guns in terms of
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I look back at some of the sort of fashion shows that I've sort of raked out recently, and there are definitely whimsical elements, which has its value as well. You know, if it's just for fun, then it's just for fun. I don't mind that either.
Yeah, sure. Do you follow a specific process or ritual when it's starting a new design or project?
I suppose the main thing is to have the material that you want to use in the first place, because then you respond to that.
It dictates
Yeah.
how the process goes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty important actually.
So material first, and then functionality after, I guess.
Yeah. Colour is also
plays a big role in your collections most of the time. Yeah. Do you follow a specific process or ritual when starting a new design?
A ritual? There's definitely not a ritual.
No, you don't kind of.
I mean, I think things cook up. Things cook up in my brain for some time before I do them, and then it's very hands-on, and sort of seeing.
Have you recognised through experience a pattern of like your own personal life experience or thought process to get to a point of inspiration?
No.
No.
I mean, there isn't a shortage of that.
No. What would you say enriches your life that leads you to that inspirational point? There are certain things
everything.
That you do.
No,
just everything.
Just looking out, keeping
just
your
existing.
eyes open.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's not things you like to do, like go to shows, go for a walk.
I mean, I could say yes, but I mean, anything. I mean, the seasons.
The seasons, yeah.
You can see things everywhere. You don't really need to make a process.
No, true.
From my point of view, anyway.
Yeah, sure. Are there any materials or techniques you love working with that have become like signature elements in your designs?
Well, I started with leather.
Yeah.
Which was sort of a new material to me, I suppose, at the time.
When was that?
When sort of 2000, 1999. I mean, we had made some clothes in leather before that. It was when I started doing bags, I think, that leather sort of I found out the machinery that it needed and that you have to skive it down to thinner thicknesses near where you're sewing it together, and there's a lot of machinery needed for leather. And then after a while, I started using wax cotton, partly because it looked a bit like leather in that it aged. I like the sort of aging process of
It marks and
yeah.
yeah.
I think that was. I like cotton.
Yeah, because
I've always liked sort of very tight woven sort of tent fabric or things like that.
And of course, also if you're into color, it's easier to apply, right? And then obviously you can do colored leather, but
you can do coloured leather, but we use mostly veg tanned leather, which is a bit volatile colour wise. It's sort of it likes to go to brown.
Right.
I mean, most leathers have a sort of plastic skin over the top of them, which is the colour.
Right.
But we use quite sort of natural finish.
Yeah. Is that because it aids the aging?
Because it ages nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it polishes up and gets really smooth and nice touch.
Nice.
It's a sensory experience.
Yeah, of course. It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of contact, right? For the consumer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of repetition with accessories in terms of you're recreating. How do you remain inspired working with the similar kind of constraints of bags and accessories?
Probably with colour mostly.
Right,
Fiddling around with bits of this big, putting them together, thinking how do I like that? How do I like that? How far can I go? Will anybody buy it? What's the story behind it? Sometimes
has like focus shifted from environment, so you could say that someone's going shopping or someone's on the street in London and they just need certain things. Has the focus of environment shifted? Is there trends for environment for bags that you've noticed over the years?
For environment, I'm not sure.
So how the environment would influence your designs?
On one hand, things have got small because people aren't carrying so much stuff.
Right, yeah.
So, you don't need to lug lots around necessarily. But then a lot of people are carrying laptops and with laptops comes wires, which seems like that's the bit that needs the work on it at the moment, is making the wires less.
Yeah, for sure.
Although I always love piles of wires like that.
I
saw nice about it.
I saw a little video of some belts being thrown at a coat hook.
Oh yeah,
for a promo, and it kind of reminded me of that, the visual of that.
Yeah, that was nice. That
yeah, it was cool.
They were filmed on this. They were dropped.
Oh, so the coat hanger was horizontal.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening that don't know what I'm talking about,
It's a slow motion.
Do you want to explain that?
It was a series of films, and it used a special camera that was, I suppose, very high speed. So it caught lots and lots of frames. I don't know if
high frame rate. Campbell would know about that.
I don't know. Anyway, the stuff was just dropped from high up.
Yeah.
And then there was a coat hanger thing put in horizontally, and so it looked as though they were just. And then it was shown.
Because if you watch it, it does look like belts are being fired directly at a coat hanger, and I would never have guessed it was shot from top down like that. It was really cool.
That's how it was done.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And how much of a role do you play in the kind of creative part of that?
Well, that was something that photographer had done before, and he suggested it, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And so, I think we did 4 different versions of things.
What things being flung?
Yeah. There was a couple of bags.
Right.
And the belts and maybe 3 bags. Yeah.
No, it's cool. I like it a lot. Moving on to collaborations. You've worked on a number of collaborative projects with other brands. What is it about collaboration that interests you and kind of keeps you coming back?
I suppose it opens up other avenues. Commercially, it's popular.
Yeah.
PR-wise, it's popular. For some reason, nobody's interested unless it's a collaboration. I've got one with Brompton coming up.
Oh, great.
Which launches 20th of November.
That makes complete sense, actually.
Yeah, it's something I'm really pleased with that I've done.
So how did that collaboration come about, firstly?
The designer from Brompton appeared in the shop one day and I said, how about a collaboration?
Yeah.
And then sometime later, I can't remember if I prompted it or... Anyway, we talked a bit and so I've done a backpack and a sort of crossbody bag. And the bag clips on the front of the bike. Yeah, you can put a lot in it.
Because the bikes are quite small generally, aren't they?
Yeah. I've learned how to ride one.
Yeah.
At first, I had to get off it when I wanted to go around a corner because it's got a more upright
and small wheels, so they can kind of...
I don't think the smallness is a thing, but it feels like it might jackknife.
Yeah.
At first when you start on it. But yeah, I really like it now.
What was the remit for the kind of the design work with them?
There wasn't one.
No.
It was whatever I came up with, really.
Did you give yourself any kind of parameters for the design work on it?
That it looked like what we do, I guess. So it does look like what we do.
Yeah.
It's a version of our Frank backpack.
Okay, cool.
Which is the one with the 2 pockets.
Yeah.
But it's got a reflective bit on it. It's got the handle, the straps kind of wrap over onto the front and then clip down so that there's no dangly bits. And it's got a sort of firmer base so that it doesn't droop or get in the way of anything.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah. So that's most recent collaboration.
That's the most recent one.
Yeah. Okay. And what advice would you give to young designers just starting out their careers in fashion or accessory design?
Different for every problem that comes up, I suppose. The advice I give to myself is stick to my guns a bit more.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if it's the right thing for somebody else.
Well, I mean,
there's also the advice to listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about.
I guess you can only share what's worked for you. So,
yeah.
That is in itself good advice, I'd say.
I suppose just think about it. Think it from as many sides as you can.
Okay. Yeah. And stick to your guns.
Go with your gut.
Yeah, go with your gut. Stick to your guns. Yeah. So being on the scene of design and creativity for quite a while, you must build up quite a strong fan base. Do you ever take on board any feedback from said fan base?
Yeah, I do. Some of which I take on board.
Yeah.
And some of which I think that's not the direction I want to go.
No.
And I maybe ignore it. I mean, somebody 2 days ago, I think, sent an email saying, "Can't you do the Frank with a wiped down lining? Because I'm a national health something or other, and I put all my gym stuff in there and all my this, that, and the other, and I mean, we have got 2 other bags that have that sort of a lining, but so I'm thinking about that."
Oh, okay, you are actually thinking about that.
I'm thinking about it, but I haven't decided yet.
But it's I guess in a world like that, you can't design a bag for one person.
You can't design a bag for one person.
You have to design for the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I've done recently quite a lot of. We offer a sort of trade-in for older bags.
Oh, that's great.
And so these older bags, I don't know if I've accepted some of them that are beyond the pale, really.
Yeah.
But some of them, I've been washing them and sort of reconditioning them a bit. and that's been really popular.
That's great. Yeah. How beat up does a bag have to be to not be accepted?
I mean, the thing is, people use them every day for 5 years.
Well, yeah.
And whatever the fabric is made of, I mean, and leather might stand that, but, it starts to just get thinner and wear away, because especially if people are cycling or something like that, because you're rubbing exactly the same place all the time. And so because of the construction of them, sometimes it's quite difficult to get at parts to put a patch on or something. But I don't know. I've been doing a bit of patching. I quite enjoy it.
It's a good scheme.
I like the look of them when they're old. But
of course.
People, they're smelly. A lot of them are smelly, so they have to be washed.
First thing to do is wash them, I guess.
Yeah. Which means they're not so waterproof anymore. And I haven't really embarked on reproofing.
Because that's the process done at the factory stage, I imagine.
Well, the fabric is proofed in the first place. You can buy wax to re-wax them.
Yeah, right.
But at the moment, I just sort of re-oil the leather a bit because it gets dry when you wash it.
Yeah. And so is there a discount scheme that you offer for the handing in of the old bags?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's really good. I guess that the way the world is, especially in fashion, these things make a difference.
We've got that customer that appreciates that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Really just thinking about life experiences or values that have most profoundly shaped creative vision.
I suppose travel is a big mind opener.
Has there been a moment in your life, let's maybe look back in younger years, when you visited somewhere that really blew your mind and
Yeah, lots of places have been, I don't know, it's a sort of, but I don't know whether they any influence at all on what I do.
But if
just
it's,
that
if
sort
it has
of, I don't know, being up a mountain on your own is always, feels like you're very small in the world type of thing.
But I would say if it had an impact on you, then it would have an impact somewhere on your work and stuff, and just anything that's impacted you as a person, let's say. Doesn't necessarily need to be.
I think, I've been to India a lot and Nepal and places like that, and just travelling on my own sometimes.
When did you first visit India?
Oh, I had a job there when I was just straight out of college almost.
Wow. And what was that job?
It was designing for an Italian guy who had a production a bit like French Connection sort of thing. He'd gone there in the 60s.
Yeah.
And started, realised that you could make cheap frocks. And I think we were showing our stuff in London in a trade show, and he came around and said, "Would you like to work in India?" And I sort of said, "Yeah, definitely."
Wow, that's amazing.
And so I went there, took my dad with me.
How old were you at this point?
About 22.
22, yeah. Okay, so good dad came along.
He came because his dad had been a writer for the Times of India.
Wow.
And he wanted to see it.
Yeah.
So I went, and nobody met us at the airport. I don't know how we got to the place where we were supposed to be going, but there were quite a few other designers, so a couple of Italian girls and a Dutch girl. And he was producing children's wear and women's wear and don't know what. And it was a real eye-opener in a way. So I would go to the factories. I came up with some designs, went to the factories where lots of women would be sitting in a basement because it was cooler.
Yeah.
Hand sewing, because quite often there would be power cuts, and then I would give a design to somebody called the master, and he would cut the pattern just from measurements. So without a pattern. So he'd cut it straight out, and it would be fairly close to right. And then I would review it and make various changes, and the changes would be completely different because he hadn't got a pattern.
Right.
And so he was starting again. And so the process of perfecting things was a bit tough.
But this sounds quite a profound experience, especially at 22.
Yeah, I mean, it was great fun.
Yeah.
And
to have the support of your father as well at the time.
Well, no, he was off on the buses every day. I was working.
But, you know, as in like the support to be there, to kind of... Because it would have...
So, yeah, maybe. It's funny because towards the end, I think I was there for 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. But you kind of found your
The owner sort of said, do you want to go and see anything in India? And so he offered to give us a driver. So we had a driver for 2 or 3 days, and we went up to the mountains. And on the way, we had an omelette at the side of the road, which was made a bit like this, actually. It was like a
shaken egg.
Spring, which they puffed up the eggs like this, and there was loads of chili and garlic in it.
Yeah.
And we both got sick as dogs.
Oh,
so we were staying in this place called Mussoorie, which was a sort of right up in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
A sort of hill station where posh Indians sent their kids to school and went there when it was too hot in Delhi, and stayed in a sort of hotel called a very, which obviously in the 20s or something, it had been a grand hotel. It was full of waiters with dirty cloths over their arms, food under great big sort of what do you call those? Tureen type. No, not tureen, but like a butler's sort of silver lid thing. But everything a bit scrappy and whatnot. But anyway, Daddy couldn't stand being ill. And he actually flew back the day before me.
Oh, okay. Right.
But
you'd found your feet by this point and felt more comfortable?
I found my feet. I don't know.
As in being in India for the first time and...
Yeah, I mean, being in India is very easy somehow.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
I think. A lot of people speak English.
Sure. Yeah.
And he had a great time. He loved sort of being on the buses, which none of the people staying there would have. They always had a driver and things like that. But he sort of liked to get into the grit of it.
In and amongst. So how long was your stay there?
I think I went back again. I think I was there for 2 weeks, and I went back once, and did some more things. And then I don't know whether I wasn't asked back or whether I didn't want to go back. I can't remember. I didn't do any more with them.
What do you think you took away from that experience when you got back?
I mean, technically learning how to sort of give instructions just from measurements and whatnot, because I didn't take anything with me in the way of like patterns or blocks or anything. Yeah, some Italian.
Yeah.
I remember this very gorgeous...
Maybe we wouldn't have the name Capellino without that experience.
Maybe. No, we were already called Capellino, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was our first or second collection that he approached me.
Right.
Second, I think.
Okay. Cool. I mean, that's an amazing experience. It sounds quite influential.
Yeah, it was really good.
Have you been back to India since?
Probably 15 times or so. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yes, lots.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's just holidays or?
Mostly holidays, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I took all the kids there when I was 60 for a trip, yeah.
And they enjoyed it? What was Hamish
I think they thought... Well, no, Hamish I'd already been with before. Hamish and I went when he was about 15, I think.
Yeah.
And we went up to some scary mountain tribe while we were there for just an experience to put the shits up.
Okay, right. How did that go?
We thought we'd never get away.
Yeah.
Well, it was a place called Malana that you could only get to on foot. But the people there would not let you touch them or their property, and they were very weird.
Wow, yeah.
And they just kept on trying to sell us hash balls like this.
You say trying. Did you buy any?
I think we did in the end, because we were just pestered
Yeah.
non-stop. And we thought it might.
Was that Hamish's suggestion? Did he just say, "Oh, go on then, let's get some"?
No, but then we got scared. We had to hide them in Hamish's shoe because then somebody told us that we might get searched on the way down.
So you sacrificed Hamish, basically. Yeah.
I thought he could be the innocent.
Yeah, fair enough. Nothing to lose.
And I was just a stupid mum. Yeah.
Talking about children.
Yeah.
You have 2 creative and talented children. How did you find a balance between your business and family life when you were young?
I don't know if they would say that I was a good mum or not.
Well, that's not in question
How
here.
did I find it?
A balance between your work. What kind of balance did you find between work life and family life? At a young age, I guess, because it's harder when they're younger, right?
Yeah, I mean, when they were very young, there was quite a lot of hauling them about with us. And I remember they slept very well at fashion shows. The noisier, the better.
All healthy molding experiences for kids, I think.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel that they were more roughly brought up than kids are now, for sure. They were molded to our world rather than the other way around.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that then these days, do you think?
I couldn't say.
No, okay, fair enough. Staying diplomatic.
I don't know. I mean, I've got 4 granddaughters. They're all absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And they're much more like the timetable revolves around their naps and whatnot, which I was very remiss at. They went to sleep when they went to sleep.
Yeah, my mum commented on that as well with my son. She said, I never was as strict as you are with the nap times. But it's just what I've been told to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It has changed a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to quantify.
And it's only one generation.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's hard to quantify results. How do you know, what's good and what's not?
Well, it's funny because I don't know if you want to be specific, but Hamish's character is very like his eldest daughter, and I don't think it's anything to do with bedtimes or
no, of course,
or anything like that. They're just the same kind of frantic people.
Yeah.
Frantic, maybe that's cruel, but just very energetic.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I wanted to go back. Something that we touched on earlier was the introduction of people bringing older bags back to be kind of reconditioned.
Mm-hmm.
How important is sustainability in your life and business? And what kind of practices do you follow to align with it?
Well, I was brought up by very home cooking, home gardening, beekeeping, compost making parents.
Beekeeping's pretty cool.
Beekeeping.
Something more important these days, actually.
Yeah, well, we lived in Ireland for 10 years until I was 10. And there they used to take these beehives, and we used to go to a house, a big sort of Anglo-Irish pile, which had an avenue leading to it of lime trees. So I think that would have been June when they were flowering. And then in the autumn, we used to take them up onto the mountains where the heather was. So these bees were given the treatment.
Yeah, good life.
And I mean, they took it very seriously. They had this big drum that was an extractor that you would put the frames in and rotate it, and so the honey would be flung out to the sides.
Amazing.
And then a tap at the bottom.
So you always had fresh, good honey?
I suppose we did, yeah.
Healthy. Good stuff for you, right?
Well, they also had a yogurt machine.
Wow.
Which was a sort of a big flask that they used to buy a culture from Switzerland, which used to come in the post, I think.
So there was definitely, you could say there was definitely a bit of a DIY culture in
There was
your
a
family.
very DIY culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was a great DIYer.
That's definitely influenced your path, really.
It definitely has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of.
Yeah, I love making things work.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that comes through to on this like the Brompton bike, because
Yeah.
I had to fit the frame that clips onto the blob at the front into the bag, because I don't think anybody's done one before where this frame thing completely is hidden inside the bag.
And that's the frame of the Brompton that already existed.
Yeah, they had the frame already,
yeah.
so I sort of built the bag around it.
Yeah, so it's absorbed. The frame's
It's absorbed,
absorbed,
but it can come out.
Oh, okay.
And it's still comfortable when you wear it as a backpack, even with the frame in it.
Oh, great. Moving on to kind of future and legacy section, what do you hope people remember about your brand and design philosophy in the future?
I think that the products, whether they're clothing or bags, have a sort of lasting appeal, that they don't go out of fashion. They stand the test of time functionally.
Yeah.
I mean, I have people in the shop all the time saying, I've still got your dress or something that I bought in 1985 and I still wear it.
Yeah.
And actually it gives me quite a lot of satisfaction.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah. I think that really must be the most important thing, is for things to stand the test of time.
Or I got married in one of your dresses.
Wow.
or
yeah.
I don't know, things like that. I accosted a man on the tube the other night.
Did you spot something?
He had one of our bags from maybe about 2014 or something.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, you've got that bag." And he said, "Funnily enough, you've actually accosted me in the past before."
No, I was about to ask how did it go down, but that's the second time.
He was really pleased.
Did he say that he's going to call the police?
He said he was going to show off to his wife.
Okay, right, nice. That's really cool. That's really cool. So you're quite happy to approach people that you spot wearing your
I am these
things.
days, yeah. I'm quite cheeky these days.
Yeah, good. I think you should be. And what are some of the goals or projects that you're excited to pursue in the coming years?
Being a granny.
Yeah.
I think.
Just enjoying family life like that.
Yeah. I think, not working all the time, I think would be. I mean, not that I'll ever not work all the time, because if it's the garden or if it's,
yeah,
I like to keep occupied.
What are your thoughts about being a grandparent, and do you often think about how to approach it, or is it something that just comes naturally?
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I'm not a gushy kind of granny. I like to be able to talk to them.
Yeah. Is it true that you see your own children in your grandchildren when they were young? I've heard that as a thing.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And how does that
visually and
personality?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or bits of.
Yeah.
And at different ages, bits of step in and step out again.
Yeah, sure. That's really interesting. I guess that kind of,
somebody's hair was exactly like this, or some, and
echoes.
And their faces change a lot when they're young, from when they get teeth to when they get a nose.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they do quite rapidly.
Yeah.
Like 3 years, the space of 3 years changes. That's kind of personal life. But is there any goals when it comes to Ally Capellino that you kind of you've got on the list?
I'd like to find somebody to buy the company that would take it.
Okay.
Take it.
Yeah.
Continue it, really.
But they've got to be the right fit, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean,
so you're not in any hurry.
Things can change.
Yeah. If you could shape the future of fashion or design in one way, what change would you make, and what change would you like to see?
I guess I'd like to see a bit more equality. I think there's two ends that need changing. One is the top end, actually, which I think
What do you mean by top end?
I mean the sort of the power of the sort of huge brands to sell things which aren't worth the money, just because somebody else wears. I do not get it. But I suppose at the other end is the cheap stuff that's people aren't paid properly for, and there's throwaway, and there's nothing good about it. In my view. But that's my view. Those people that are lapping it up are not going to agree, are they?
What do you think about production being outsourced to other countries? Do you think it should be brought back to the UK for UK brands, for example?
I don't think it's not that simple. I mean, my production is not UK anymore because the skills aren't there. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the money also doesn't stack up, but the skills is the main thing. People don't want to do that sort of work.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's nobody there to teach them it.
That's a shame. Do you think there should be maybe education-wise?
This is where immigration helps, because there are people that can come with skills.
Do you think there should be more courses based on production in the UK than just design?
Yeah, too much design and not enough.
We seem to focus on the design because it's the glamorous part.
I mean, maybe we're good at it. But...
Yeah, sure. Well, listen, Ally, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. Please enjoy the rest of your whiskey sour.
Yeah, I will.
I finished mine.
It's not down in one situation, though,
no, it's not. Thank you so much. Great to meet you. We're really happy that you're enjoying Toast and Jams, and what we need from you now is a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and it guarantees that we can keep this amazing standard of guests up. Also, if you want to learn anything more about the guests or their work, there'll be links in the description where you can also find their song choice. Thank you, and keep tuning in. This has been a joint production between Toast and Jams and Allen Brothers Films.